Former UFC contender Kevin Lee is once again in the headlines, but this time it isn't for what happened inside the cage. Instead, Lee is facing an overwhelming medical bill of more than $30,000 following his recent fight against Gaethje Rabadanov, a bout in which he suffered a devastating broken jaw. The injury required his jaw to be wired shut, but it's the aftermath of his hospital visit that has shocked him the most. Lee posted a video on his social media explaining the frustrating ordeal. He revealed that he has been going back and forth with hospitals and insurance companies for weeks, but has only been met with confusion and a lack of answers. "I've been calling the hospitals and insurance companies for weeks. I get the runaround every time," Lee said. The fighter explained that after his June 20th fight in Kansas, he was immediately taken to a local hospital. There, doctors performed CT scans of his face, head, and brain and provided him with basic pain relief ibuprofen. To his shock, that hospital later billed him nearly $31,000 for the visit. Breaking it down, Lee said that the CT scans alone were priced at $22,000, while nearly $9,000 was charged for the emergency room visit itself, even though he claimed he was only in the hospital for about an hour and spent most of the time sitting in the hallway. The most baffling part, according to Lee, is that when he returned to Florida the very next day, doctors performed the exact same CT scan at a different hospital. The cost there, just $20, a staggering difference compared to the $22,000 bill in Kansas. The Florida hospital even performed an additional X-ray on his shoulder, all included within the same $40 charge. In his video, Lee expressed disbelief and frustration at the massive price discrepancy. "How is it $40 in Florida but $22,000 in Kansas for the exact same thing?" he questioned. "This Kansas hospital gave me ibuprofen and sent me home, while the Florida hospital actually wired my jaw shut so that I wasn't continuing to damage it." Lee pointed out that the charges in Kansas amount to nearly 400 times more than what he paid in Florida for similar care. The experience has left him confused and desperate for answers. "Somebody help me figure this out," he said, calling on fans, media, and possibly even legal experts to shed light on the situation. The incident highlights ongoing issues in the healthcare system, particularly when it comes to emergency medical services and hospital billing practices. Fighters like Kevin Lee often risk their lives in the cage only to face staggering medical costs afterward, costs that can cripple their financial security and career. For Kevin Lee, who has already endured multiple comebacks and setbacks in MMA, this financial blow only adds another layer of difficulty. While fans are used to hearing stories of grit and resilience from fighters inside the octagon, Lee's story is a stark reminder that the battles outside of the cage can sometimes be even harder to fight. Before moving on to the next news, we have a quick request for you. We're always working to improve our content and truly value your support. If you could take a moment to leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon, it would mean a lot to us. That way you'll never miss an update. Move on to another news. The MMA world has never been short on heated exchanges, and the latest one involves Darren Till, Gilbert Burns, and Renato Moicano. During an episode of the Show Me the Money podcast, both Burns and Moicano discussed a potential boxing match between Till and former UFC middleweight champion Luke Rockhold. Their comments quickly drew a fiery response from Till, who took offense not only to their fight analysis, but also to their personal jabs. On the podcast, Moicano and Burns debated how a boxing match between Darren Till and Luke Rockhold might play out. Moicano confidently stated, "Till versus Luke Rockhold in pure boxing, I'd pick Rockhold." Burns appeared to agree, adding that while Till may have decent hands, Rockhold's experience and size could give him the edge in a straight boxing contest. They then shifted the conversation to Till's age and appearance. "How old do you think Darren is?" one of them asked. "I think he's 31, another guessed. When they confirmed Till is indeed 31 or 32, both laughed about how old he looked, claiming he appeared closer to 40. Moicano even joked that Till looks destroyed, suggesting that years of fighting had prematurely aged the former UFC title challenger. The discussion didn't stop there. The two fighters brought up Rockhold's previous bare-knuckle boxing match against Mike Perry, where Rockhold quit after suffering significant damage. Burns acknowledged that Perry's style in bare-knuckle boxing is uniquely brutal, saying anyone against Mike Perry in bare-knuckle is going to have the same thing happen, bro. Still, both implied Rockhold could perform better against Till in a boxing-only scenario. Darren Till, known for his outspoken personality and sharp tongue, did not let these remarks slide. He quickly responded on social media, firing back at both Burns and Moicano. His words were cutting. "Please, someone tell Gilbert Burns he looks like a crumpled up piece of paper, and Ronaldo can't even string a sentence together. I speak better Portuguese than both of them guys. How embarrassing that the country they are from, I am more from that country than them." Till's response was vintage the gorilla, a mix of humor, sarcasm, and pointed insult. By attacking Burns' appearance and mocking Moicano's speech, Till turned the tables, making it clear he was not intimidated by their commentary. He also cleverly poked fun at his own ability to speak Portuguese, implying he was more Brazilian in spirit than the two actual Brazilians criticizing him. The back and forth highlights a recurring theme in combat sports. Fighters are quick to analyze each other, often in ways that go beyond professional respect, while those on the receiving end rarely stay silent. Till, in particular, has built his reputation not only on his striking skills, but also on his ability to verbally spar with rivals. Whether or not a boxing match between Darren Till and Luke Rockhold ever materializes remains to be seen. However, one thing is certain. Till's war of words with Burns and Moicano adds another layer of drama to the ongoing storylines in MMA. Fans know that when Darren Till is involved, the fight doesn't just happen in the ring, it happens everywhere. Move on to another news. Bogdan Guskov, a name well known in the MMA world, recently shared a fascinating and somewhat shocking story about former UFC light heavyweight champion Jon Jones. The tale dates back to 2013 during the build-up to Jones's highly anticipated first fight with Alexander Gustafsson at UFC 65, a fight that is still considered one of the greatest title bouts in UFC history. According to Guskov, he happened to be at the same nightclub as Jon Jones and Alexander Gustafsson just days before their fight. The experience left him stunned, not only because of what he saw but also because of the stark contrast between the two fighters' lifestyles during fight week. Guskov explained that around 10 to 11 p.m., Gustafsson quietly left the nightclub. He wasn't there to party, but rather to stay disciplined and focused. The Swedish contender was preparing himself mentally and physically for what would be the biggest fight of his career. For Guskov, this looked like the kind of behavior you'd expect from a professional athlete about to challenge for a world title. But Jon Jones, on the other hand, had an entirely different approach. Guskov claims that while Gustafsson went back to his hotel to rest, Jones stayed in the nightclub until nearly 5 a.m. What surprised Guskov the most was that Jones was drinking heavily throughout the night. In fact, he recalled seeing Jones consume nearly everything that the bar had to offer. At one point in the night, Guskov said he even witnessed Jones and former UFC heavyweight champion Frank Mir wrestling playfully on the floor of the club. None of us dared to break it up, Guskov remembered. Luckily, they were just joking around, but to see two legends of the sport rolling around on the club floor after drinking, that was something else. What shocked Guskov wasn't just the playful wrestling, it was the idea that a fighter of Jon Jones' caliber could live such a wild lifestyle and still step into the octagon and perform at the highest level. I couldn't believe it, Guskov admitted. He was drinking, partying, and doing things you'd never expect from someone preparing for a championship fight. Yet he still managed to go 5 hard rounds with Gustafsson and retain his belt. For Guskov, this moment highlighted the uniqueness of Jon Jones. While most fighters focus strictly on recovery, training, and mental preparation in the days leading up to a fight, Jones seemed to thrive in chaos. His ability to compartmentalize his personal life and still dominate inside the cage is something Guskov found both shocking and impressive. Looking back, Guskov believes this story says a lot about the raw talent and natural gifts that Jon Jones possesses. Very few fighters could indulge in such behavior and still perform at the level he did. While many fans and critics often question Jones's discipline outside the cage, Guskov's story only adds to the legend of Jon Jones, a fighter whose career has been as much about controversy as it has been about greatness. Move on to another news. The MMA community was shaken this week after news broke that Raja Jackson, son of former UFC star Quinton Rampage Jackson, was arrested following a violent altercation with professional wrestler Psycho Stu. According to reports from TMZ, Raja was taken into custody and booked on a felony charge of battery with serious bodily injury. Law enforcement confirmed that his bail was set at $50,000, which has since been posted, allowing Raja to bond out and return home. The incident reportedly unfolded during a heated confrontation, though the details surrounding what led to the altercation remain unclear. Sources close to the matter suggest that the fight escalated quickly, leaving Psycho Stu with injuries significant enough to warrant the felony charge. While the wrestler's current condition hasn't been fully disclosed, the seriousness of the charge indicates that medical attention was required. Following Raja's release, his father, Quinton Rampage Jackson, addressed the situation publicly during a live stream. The former UFC light heavyweight champion spoke candidly about the arrest, confirming Raja was back home and safe. Despite the serious nature of the charges, Rampage emphasized that his son was physically doing fine after the ordeal. "I'm doing okay. I'm holding up well," Rampage said to his viewers. "He's doing okay too. He's home now. That's the important part. He's up, but he's got to learn his lessons." Throughout the stream, Rampage appeared torn between his role as a supportive father and the disappointment of seeing his son caught in such a troubling situation. He expressed that, as a parent, he has done his best to guide Raja, but ultimately the decisions are his son's to make. "All I can do is be a dad," Rampage explained. "You know what I'm saying? He doesn't always listen to me. But at the end of the day, he can't say that I didn't try. He can't say that I didn't do what I was supposed to do as a father. I've always been there for him. Rampage's comments highlight the difficult balance parents often face when their children make mistakes in the public eye. While he stood by his son, he didn't shy away from acknowledging that Raja needs to face the consequences of his actions and learn from them. The MMA community has since reacted with a mix of concern and criticism. Some fans expressed sympathy for Rampage, understanding the difficulty of watching a child face legal trouble, while others were more critical, pointing out that Raja's actions could have lasting consequences for his career and reputation. As of now, Raja Jackson's legal situation remains ongoing. He will likely have to appear in court to address the felony charge, and the outcome could depend heavily on the extent of the injuries suffered by Psycho Stu as well as any evidence that emerges about what provoked the altercation. For Rampage, the focus remains on supporting his son while making it clear that Raja must take accountability. It is what it is, Rampage concluded. He's got to learn, and I hope this is a wake-up call for him. This developing story continues to draw attention, not just because of Raja's arrest, but also because of the legacy of his father. With the Jackson name carrying weight in combat sports, many will be watching closely to see how Raja handles this chapter of his life and whether he can rebound from the controversy. Move on to another news. Former UFC star and MMA legend Quinton Rampage Jackson found himself in the middle of an unexpected confrontation at a bar last night. According to eyewitness accounts and circulating clips online, Rampage became visibly irritated after realizing that a group of individuals was recording him without his consent. The situation unfolded when Rampage overheard people nearby discussing him while holding their phones up. Known for his larger-than-life personality, Rampage didn't hesitate to confront the individuals directly. His frustration was clear, but rather than escalate into violence, the exchange became a heated verbal back and forth. "I can hear everything," Rampage reportedly said, addressing the group. "When you're a public figure, you don't always like people filming you. That's just how it is." Despite his agitation, Rampage attempted to explain his perspective calmly. He emphasized that, while he understood fans are often curious, he values his privacy, especially in social settings where he isn't in the spotlight. "Guess what though? I don't expect you to understand," he repeated several times during the exchange, highlighting the disconnect between being a celebrity and how outsiders perceive personal boundaries. The individuals filming tried to defend themselves, insisting they weren't intentionally recording Rampage or trying to disrespect him. They argued that the phones were up casually and that no malice was intended. Rampage, however, wasn't convinced. "I know you don't understand," he responded, "but I can hear everything you're saying, and I know when people are talking about me." Observers at the bar described the exchange as tense but ultimately under control. Rampage didn't become physically aggressive, though his tone was sharp, and his body language made it clear that he was unhappy with the situation. The individuals on the other end, perhaps realizing the seriousness of his frustration, appeared defensive, but did not escalate matters further. This incident once again raises the ongoing conversation about privacy for public figures. While many fans see celebrities as fair game for photos and recordings, stars like Rampage argue that there should be boundaries, especially in personal or casual settings like restaurants or bars. The dynamic between fans and fighters can be complicated. While athletes rely on fan support for their careers, they also crave moments of normalcy away from the constant spotlight. For Rampage, who has always worn his emotions on his sleeve, the situation is another reminder of the challenges that come with fame. He has long been known for his honesty and intensity, both inside and outside the octagon. His outburst wasn't violent, but instead underscored his demand for respect. Those close to the situation believe that Rampage's words, "I don't expect you to understand," reflect a deeper frustration with how fans sometimes forget that athletes are people first. To many, the video serves as a cautionary tale about crossing boundaries, even unintentionally. As the clip continues to circulate online, reactions remain mixed. Some fans sympathize with Rampage, agreeing that he deserves privacy when off the clock. Others argue that, as a public figure, being filmed comes with the territory. Regardless, the altercation highlights the ongoing struggle athletes face between fame, privacy, and personal space. Move on to another news. Rising UFC lightweight contender Arman Tsarukyan has revealed that the promotion is in discussions to book him against veteran striker Dan Hooker. While the matchup has not yet been made official, Tsarukyan made it clear in a recent interview with Sport24 that although he is willing to fight Hooker, his preference lies with more high-profile opponents such as Justin Gaethje or Paddy Pimblett. The rumors began when Hooker expressed interest in fighting Tsarukyan, followed by a media outlet reporting insider information that the UFC was targeting the bout. When asked about it, Tsarukyan explained, "I just said I want to fight in Qatar. Then Hooker said he wants to fight me. After that, some outlets released information that I'm fighting him." UFC also said they are planning the fight, but nothing official yet. I already told them I'm ready, just let me know. Despite acknowledging that he is open to fighting Hooker, Tsarukyan admitted he doesn't see the matchup as the most exciting option for his career trajectory. Instead, he has his eyes set on bigger names in the lightweight division. If I had a choice who to fight, I wouldn't choose him. Gaethje is a much more interesting fight for me. Gaethje and Pimblett are more exciting options than Hooker. Tsarukyan's candid comments highlight his ambition to climb toward the top of the lightweight division. With an impressive record and a reputation as one of the most well-rounded fighters in the UFC, he believes a fight against Gaethje, known for his wild brawling style and elite ranking, would be a defining moment for his career. On the other hand, a fight with Paddy Pimblett would generate massive attention due to Pimblett's popularity and fan following, even though Pimblett is currently ranked lower. Hooker, however, remains a respected name in the division, known as the Hangman. He has fought many of the lightweight elite, including Dustin Poirier, Michael Chandler, and Islam Makhachev. A win over Hooker would still add to Tsarukyan's resume, though it may not provide the same title implications as Gaethje or the star power of Pimblett. The UFC has yet to make an official announcement, but a Tsarukyan versus Hooker bout could fit perfectly on the UFC's rumored card in Qatar. Tsarukyan has previously expressed interest in competing there, which makes the timing logical. Still, the Armenian-Russian standout is making it clear that while he respects Hooker, his sights are set on bigger names that could fast-track him toward title contention. Whether it's Hooker, Gaethje, or Pimblett, one thing is certain. Arman Tsarukyan is determined to continue his rise in one of the UFC's toughest and most stacked divisions. Fans will now wait for the UFC's official word to see which direction the lightweight contender's career takes next.